Cool. So thanks for joining. Really appreciate you coming along. And today we're going to talk about imposter syndrome, how to use it towards your advantage. But before we move forward, I'd just like to learn more about the room. So you can scan this, and you can take part in this poll. So it's anonymous, no sign up needed, nothing. Just scan it, and then you can vote for it. So how many years have you worked in tech? 1 to 5, less than 1, 10 plus, or 5 to 10? A lot of seniors here. Very nice. This just proves that, everyone faces imposter syndrome. Doesn't matter how senior or junior you are. Yeah, professionally or just including like when you started out. Yeah. Cool. That looks good. So mostly we have a good distribution here. Let's move forward. So the next one, do you suffer from imposter syndrome? Simple question. Yes, no? That's good. That's a good point. We'll cover that. All right? So most people. Okay, cool. Next one. What are you doing about it? All the folks who said yes, what do you do about it? You're facing imposter syndrome, but what do you do? What's next? Do you suffer in silence, or are you taking any actions? Or all right? That's a good one. Therapy. That's a good one. Good. Most folks saying fake it till you make it. There's nothing wrong with that. Right. One more person typing in. Count to 5, just start. Chill. All right, so another last question I have is, are people born smart? What do you think? Yes, no? No. Anyone for yes? Some people saying yes? All right, okay, we can move forward. Cool. I'll present. So yeah, welcome everyone, welcome to my session. We'll talk about using imposter syndrome to your advantage. We'll talk about what it is and some silver lining, and a little bit of a controversial thing that I say, which is it's actually not that bad as it seems. If you're facing imposter syndrome, you can make the most out of it, and sometimes it can be a really good thing for you if you're just starting out in tech. Not mandatory, but if you're facing it, then it's all right, and we'll talk about that. A little about me, I work as a development manager at Civo, and as you can see, a staff member. I'm a CNCF ambassador, founder of We Make Devs, which is a community I started. I have GitHub Star, speaker at TEDx, and yeah, just been involved in a lot of communities and doing a lot of community work, working with good people, who are in the audience as well. But yeah, I do a lot of collabs, and I love collaborating with people. So yeah, if you run your own community or something, you want to collab, just find me after the session. You can do that. I'm also a creator on YouTube. I teach on YouTube. I didn't put that in there, but yeah, close to 400,000 now. I started around last year. So yeah, I love doing content creation. I love teaching, and I'm relatively new. I graduated last year. So yeah, it has been a good journey. So we'll talk about what is imposter syndrome. One thing I really love to do is keep this session interactive. So a lot of audience participation, and we definitely love that. So someone was saying, define imposter syndrome, but many people said, yes, we suffer from it. No, we don't suffer from it. So I would like to ask you, what do you think is imposter syndrome? And by the way, I'll give out some nice swag for audience participation. So yeah, anyone? Yeah, Rich, go ahead.
Good at doing a thing, an irrational feeling that you're not good at doing a thing. So not based in fact.
That's correct. Yeah. Rishabh? Oh, okay. Yeah, you go ahead.
that everyone else seems to know what you don't know.
That's correct, yeah.
Pretending something you are not, and pretending you know something where you have no idea about it.
Hmm.
It's when you feel like you don't fit in a
It's a good
group,
one.
especially with someone that's maybe you're the only woman in the group as well. Just an example.
Yeah.
The gut feeling of not being up to the task.
This is a safe space. Go for it. Yeah. There's some hands here. Yeah, Rishabh?
Feeling of not belonging.
Not belonging. Yeah. Yeah. All of these are valid points. And I think imposter syndrome is like everyone has their own meaning. So some people it's like, oh, some folks who are not, let's say, that much into content creation. I've spoken to people who are like, engineers and stuff. They're like, all of our, colleagues and stuff, they're making so much content, doing so much collaborations, but we're not doing, as much. And we feel like, it's not like up to the mark or whatever. And some people are like, okay, like you said, not feeling like, I belong here, or feeling like, as an imposter, and the fake it till you make it thing, like, everyone is so smarter and I'm not so smart. So we'll dive deep into it. And this is how I like to picture it. It doesn't mean that imposter syndrome, I don't think it means that, okay, this is the reality, not sure what it means. Everyone has a different definition. But in reality, it doesn't mean that I don't know anything. If I'm looking at it from an optimistic point of view, then it basically means people know something else, I know something else. That's the way I like to put it. And who gets it? Literally everyone. Like, it doesn't matter. There was an interview with Tom Hanks. He said he feels like an imposter sometimes. So senior engineers, CEOs, celebrities, junior engineers, students, everyone, you name it. So everyone gets it. So the reason I wanted to do this talk was, it's very popular thing, imposter syndrome. Everyone is facing it. But then the question arises, what do we do about it? Do we just ignore it? And if everyone is facing it, I'm a very realistic person, and I'm a very optimistic person. And if there's something that, most folks are facing it, and it's not like you can avoid it, right? It's not like you can avoid it. It's just like no one invites imposter syndrome. Then there has to be some sort of a way to deal with it and make the most out of the situation. So literally, you can't really define who gets it, because like it can be anyone. But let's talk a little bit more about what causes imposter syndrome. Now again, some little bit audience participation. Anyone? What causes imposter syndrome? Yeah, go ahead.
Worrying that you landed the job you did based on connections rather than merit.
Yep.
Being in an environment in which you have to constantly learn new things, so you're never a subject matter expert.
Mm.
I think one of the key reasons is that when you start comparing yourselves to others,
That's a
and
very
you
important
don't really focus on what you're doing yourself, but you're more focused on what others think of you, and you start to think of yourself in a low light as compared to others.
Yeah, spot on. Yeah.
Sometimes it can happen when you're in a new situation, like you're at a new employer, or you take on a new role, which is something that you don't necessarily have a ton of experience at.
Agree.
So past failures, so like when you're, like for me, it's starting a startup after having a failed startup in the past.
Failure is good though. Rockwood, he was here before me, and I was talking to him, and he was like, I did a podcast with him, and he was like, Kunal, you know why I'm a very good engineer? And I'm like, why? He's like, because I've failed a lot. Yeah.
For me, it's Twitter and social media in general.
We are going to talk about that. Yeah. Marino.
Sometimes I think it's a lack of feedback. When you don't have that feedback loop in place to know whether or not you're going in the right direction, that's what can literally cause that imposter syndrome.
Okay, we'll take two more, and then we'll, yeah.
A father who's never impressed.
So what?
A father who's never impressed.
Building on what Marino said, always comparing yourself upwards
Yeah.
to your seniors and not to your peers and fellows.
Yeah, no, that's true. And we'll talk about it. Let's say the first point is perfection. So perfectionists face imposter syndrome quite a lot. Recent study also mentioned people who are like a, what's the word? People pleaser, and everyone want to just get 100% right, everything, is perfectionist, and just don't want to leave anything behind or whatever. I personally don't think that's a very good, thing to do. Because it can lead like a lot of gray areas and definitely a big cause for imposter syndrome. The fix here, it says a GEQ method. Anyone knows what a GEQ method is? Good enough quality. So the good enough quality method is what I would recommend to perfectionists. And if you take an example, like for a project, you're like, I want to have 10 features in this project, or something like that. So it's better to have like 5 good features rather than 10 incomplete features, right? And then once you have a good enough product, you can obviously iterate upon it, you can improve upon it. But this is the first point I wanted to mention. The people who are like perfectionists, they face imposter syndrome, like because they always have that, most time they have it in their mind, like, okay, what other people think of us, and we're setting an example, we're doing everything perfectly, and so on and so forth. So that's point number 1. Point number 2 is folks who wish to be like geniuses, why am I not like the other person? Why am I not like that guy? He's doing so smart and, all these achievements and doing all these amazing things. And this is another question that I had. Are people born smart? Answer, most time, no. Because there's the people who struggle with this, the second point, wishes to be a genius, they oftentimes look at the result, but they don't look at the journey. Every genius, every person who was great in their field, they were beginner at once. They were all a kid. They worked their way up, and folks oftentimes just ignore this this journey. So folks, who wish to be like genius, and why I'm not like that person, and they're getting all these offers and internships or whatever, and I'm not getting anything. But you have to look at their path, look at their life's journey. We're not always so smart. They started out, basics, and then contributed and did whatever. So this path is what most people just basically ignored. All the limelight and everything, they just see, like, okay, they're doing very well in their career, but this question that you ask yourself, why am I not like the other person? It's because most of the time people just forget about the journey and focus on the end result. So are people born smart? I don't think so. And you should always look at the path of that person. It's not about competition. If you find someone smarter than you, it's amazing, incredible, because now you have the opportunity to learn and learn from that person, learn from their journey. So I'd say get motivated instead of like getting jealous or something. 3, expert. Striving to like please others is just not enough. Doing so many courses and everything at once. There's a quote I really like, which is you can't be an expert in everything. And there's another quote I have in the slide later on. But yeah, experts, sometimes they feel like an imposter as well, because in their mind they have like, I'm an expert, I have to be an expert, I have to know everything. So that's another point. This is another one, solo train. Basically, person who does everything by themselves, like no help, nothing. I will do everything by myself, alone. Anyone here who works well alone and does not work that well in teams? Good. Oh, Marino. All right. So yeah, sometimes if you're like, okay, I'll just do it by myself. Sometimes folks may feel like, okay, if I ask for help, it may look like it's a sign of weakness, So I'd not recommend that. The fix is to find the right people, find the right community. So that's the fourth point I'd like to mention, which is the solo train, means want to do everything by themselves, not take any help. These are also the people who suffer imposter syndrome. 5th one, super person. Give me everything. Who will take these tasks? I'll do everything. And they take more than they can do. Can anyone tell the fix for this? People who are like, I will do everything, give me all the tasks and everything. No? Or when they're setting their daily goals, they're like, today I'll accomplish everything, But they don't end up doing it, and then they feel bad. Like, okay, I had all these goals in mind, but I didn't do it. It's very simple. Set realistic goals, that's it. Yeah, so that's the solution. Set realistic goals. So don't be the super person, be realistic. Now, do you face imposter syndrome? Right? I think Yeah, most people do, so it's all right. Like, we did the poll, but you think about where do you face it. So in the workplace, universities, college, social media, things like that, it's, everywhere. This is a good point. Is it bad? Can you tell me, that's a good point. Like, can anyone share with me, like, is imposter syndrome a bad thing? If you say, you can say yes, you can say no. It's no, like, it's all right, yeah. Yeah, anyone else? Not a bad thing, okay. All right, if someone says it's a bad thing, then if imposter syndrome is bad, then is the opposite of imposter syndrome good? Okay, forget about that. What is the opposite of imposter syndrome? No, opposite of imposter syndrome, the feeling of being an imposter. What's the opposite feeling of imposter syndrome? Yeah, and someone said arrogance, yeah? Anyone else? There's two words I'm looking for. Overconfidence, yes. Very good. So, imposter syndrome is not bad, because if it is bad, that means that opposite of imposter syndrome is good. Opposite of imposter syndrome is, what do you call it? The Dunning-Kruger effect. So this nice little graph. But yeah, it's also known as overconfidence. So people who don't know much about like their skill set, but they will like, okay, I'm the best. I know everything. And this peak right that you see, right? It's not good. It's something you don't want to be, right? So the opposite of imposter syndrome, I think it's even worse than imposter syndrome. So the way I look at it is, it's unavoidable. Is unavoidable a word? Is it? I think so. Okay, it's unavoidable. And so imposter syndrome, it's unavoidable. Most people face it. Doesn't matter what your, what do you call it? The seniority level is. So it's all very organic. Now, if all of these things are happening, then I think it's a natural thing. It comes very natural, right? And something that comes very natural, I personally don't feel like that's a bad thing, right? Because it's not a blocker. For example, if I'm talking, so I graduated last year, and my first open source contribution was in freshman year, and I was just learning Java. That's all I knew. I knew Java, that's it. And then I was in my freshman year, and I was looking for open source projects for contributing. And I found this Kubernetes Java client by Red Hat middleware. And I only knew Java. I had no idea about other things or whatever. And I found this project. It's a Red Hat middleware project. So big, huge. My mind was just like, okay, this is too much. How would I even contribute? I don't even understand the README. How would I start contributing? So that imposter syndrome that I faced was incredible for my career. It's just changed my life, because not only did I have the opportunity to learn new things, I also had the opportunity to contribute, learn new things and contribute. So when I went to the previous slide, like the very first slide, which was, it's not like I don't know anything. Imposter syndrome is, I know something else, people know something else, and this is what I focus on every day, in my career as well. So I work at Civo. I meet people who are 100 times smarter than me. I face imposter syndrome, but I want to face imposter syndrome because that will make me a better person. And like Josh just joined the team. He was like very good. He's so good at machine learning. I'm like, man, this guy is so good, at machine learning. And I was talking to Josh, and I'm like, yeah, and I'd love to learn more, and everything. So it's great for me. I'm learning from one of those, some of the smartest people in the industry. So there is imposter syndrome, but it's all about how you deal with it, how you're tackling it and how you're making the most out of it. So if you find yourself in a place where you don't know much about something, given that you're given an opportunity to like learn about it, like Rishabh was saying, working in a new project or new team or something, and what was it? You were saying something about not getting feedback or what was it? You don't remember? Someone was saying it, right? Not getting feedback and Marino. You were saying it. Yeah. So personally, I believe, from all the companies I have seen and whole culture that we have now of remote work or whatever, I believe most companies are friendly, at least what I know. Some companies might not be, most companies are friendly, but if you have a supportive team, I think you can get past imposter syndrome and you can use it to your advantage to learn more about some stuff that you don't know and make an impact, and it's add a new skill on your resume, for example. All right. So opposite of imposter syndrome is not good. So it's actually worse. So that's that. So yeah, what are you doing about it? So everyone faces like imposter syndrome. We talked about it's natural. And on social media, like everyone is like imposter syndrome and this or that, or very bad thing, and your life is ruined, and depression and everything. I get that. It's all right. But try to be a little realistic and see, okay, most folks are facing it. What is it that you can do right now to work with it? So analyze the situation and use it to your advantage to add a new skill, basically. That's what I would recommend. So step 1, identify it. Where are you facing imposter syndrome? Or is it at your university, your a specific project, or a team, or something like that in the community? That's what I would recommend. So identify it, and then take action. So basically, some of the points I would like to recommend here is celebrate small wins. So small achievements, celebrate those. Very good morale booster. Track your success. I used to keep a brag journal or something. I didn't share it anywhere, just as a notes app on my iCloud, and I just put all the achievements there, like all the things I did and everything, small things. That helps, trust me, quite a lot. So track your success. Limit social media sometimes. Sometimes it's good to like take a, what's the word I'm looking for? Detox. So sometimes it's all right to take a little bit of a detox, and don't take anything to heart as such, like for others' achievements. Just be like motivated by it, and don't take it like personally, like, okay, why is this person getting all of this and I'm not getting? Because they learned their journey and what we covered previously. Set realistic goals. So this is a quote I was referring to earlier. You can do anything, but not everything. That's all right. And one of the best ways to scale is to give up control. So work in teams, distribute tasks, set realistic goals. If you don't know something and you're lucky enough to be in a very good supportive team, then just take advantage of it. And yeah, everyone faces imposter syndrome. So if everyone faces it, then it's not bad. If everyone is facing it, then it's all right. Cool. Step 3 is just measuring success. So look at for example, the way I do it is like project-wise. So if you're working on a project, we see like, okay, 5 months before we were supposed to do all these tasks. We did all these tasks. Then there's a retrospective, and then like what went good, what went not so good, what could have been improved. And another thing about the shout-out stuff is it's very important to what I was saying earlier, celebrate small wins. At Civo, we have this thing called Hey Taco. So whenever someone does something good, we give them a it's an app called Hey Taco. So you give people taco, and it shows up on the leaderboard who has the most tacos. You can Google it. It's called Hey Taco. So we use that. Someone does something good, we give them a taco, and it's a good morale booster stuff. Yeah. All right. So measuring success, very important. Cool. Lastly, I just say it is okay. Imposter syndrome. If anyone tells you it's it's bad or whatever, it's okay. Like I know it can be overwhelming, but in reality, I don't think it's a problem. It's just a little challenge. That's it. It's not a bad thing. It's a challenge. So if you don't know about something, let's say you're put in a new project, right? And you're like, hey, we're understanding of you, and you're, let's say, a junior engineer. You can learn about things and you can contribute or whatever. So not knowing about things is not a bad thing, but not doing anything about it is a bad thing. Is what I would like to, just put. So if you're given the opportunity to like, hey, new project, learn, contribute or whatever, and you're not even putting in efforts to learn and just be better, I think that's not cool. So not knowing stuff is all right. It's not a problem. But not doing anything about it, I think that's a problem. So imposter syndrome in this scenario is a good thing in terms of like, learning new things and contributing and working in teams and yeah. All right, that's it. Questions? That's it. Yeah.
So someone I know says technology is always changing, and why spend time upgrading it? So is that like escaping imposter syndrome or just giving it to you?
I didn't hear the question.
Someone I know says technology is always changing, and why waste time upgrading for the new technology? is it something, it's like escaping from the imposter syndrome, isn't it? Or
It will always keep on changing. You know, anyone here who does not learn about new things that come out? If you stop doing that, you'd be jobless. I think it just creates newer opportunities. So when Kubernetes came out, we were like, oh, automation and stuff, you know, jobs are gone. It created new jobs. And I think with the whole chat GPT thing as well, I think it'll change how people do things, but it will definitely bring in newer opportunities. I made a tweet, it got very popular. So AI will not steal your job. A person using AI will steal your job. So I got good feedback on that. Yeah, Rishabh. Was talking about it as well, AI and stuff. Yeah.
Just a follow-up question to that. How do you deal with FOMO because you can't learn everything, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. FOMO in terms of what? Like new tech. Yeah. How do I deal with it? So I use this thing called pie-shaped learning. Know everything about something, something about everything. That's what I do. So you know, pi is like 2 pillars, one horizontal. So 2 pillars are like what your depth is, what your expertise or whatever, and breadth, like you have just a little bit of an idea of what things are going on. That's what I do. And the way I look at it is, I enjoy exploring new stuff just for fun. Just read a blog, watch someone's talk to someone, build a little Hello World project. And if I like it, I'll do a little bit more of a research. For example, I tried mobile development, didn't like it, and then I didn't do anything with it. So no projects, no open source, nothing. It's just in the back of my mind. But I know that if I am given let's say, if my life depends on it, like you have to work in the mobile development project, then I know I'll be able to adapt. Like just give me a week, I'll be good. And I think the most, and there's another point, what is the most difficult programming language to learn? Anyone? Rust? Where's raw code? The first one, yeah. No, the first, okay, all right. So yeah, the first one. Picking up new tech when you get into a habit of it. If you love what you do, if you love tech, and it's fun, you're just exploring and stuff. So how do you deal with FOMO? Like, I don't get FOMO anymore because I travel a lot. So if I don't go to a conference, I'm actually glad. Like, okay, I'm not going, no more travel, that's good. Yeah, but FOMO is still there sometimes. Like you might not be able to attend a conference or whatever, but sometimes things just you get your priorities straight when you're. I can't say this because I'm 24. So next question.
So I think one of the discussions is around like ChatGPT and how it might like just take away your job, which is definitely not the case. But how to deal with FOMO from the actual AI itself, because we spoke about how to deal with FOMO and imposter syndrome from other people, but how to deal with the imposter syndrome from AI?
From AI? What does that mean? Like AI is more smart, we want to be smarter than AI. You know how long it would take you to like, forget AI, you calculate Fibonacci series on your own, pen and paper. Now how long it will take you? AI to have imposter syndrome. It's interesting. All right? Is that what you meant, Shive? All right? I think AI is a good. It's like ChatGPT, for example, being used as a tool to like enhance your workflow. It can't make decisions for you, at least for now. So it's just as a tool that you're using. Like Wozniak was also sharing about today. Would there be a time like computers are just doing everything from the start till the very end to the taking the raw materials out of the earth and everything? And there's this one guy who was saying ChatGPT like tools will replace lawyers. Lawyers are gone out of business. Would you trust an AI with the what do you call it, legal stuff? Lots of questions, but yeah. Anyone else? Good? All right, so just as a summary, we talked about imposter syndrome. We talked about the 5 types of people who face imposter syndrome. We talked about how the opposite is equally, not equally, more than, worse than imposter syndrome. We spoke about how to make the most out of it, silver lining, and if it's being faced by everyone in most industries, doesn't matter the seniority level, then it's not a bad thing. It's definitely a challenge, and it's natural. Even if it is a bad thing, what can you do about it? Imagine it's a bad thing. I, for the sake of the argument, I'm saying, okay, it's very bad. Imposter syndrome is very bad. So what does that mean? Is the life over? Is no hope left? I don't like to work that way. It's a bad thing. Cool, got it. All right, what do we do about it? We make a plan. We get out of it. We make the most out of it. So even if for the sake of argument you're saying it's bad, then think about what can be done. Can you ignore it? Can you fix it? Can you prevent it? And then you work with that. So always be realistic, set goals, and try to get out of the situation in a practical way. And also remember, you're not alone. So feel free to ask for help, join communities, and if you're in a team, then speak to your boss, manager, and be open-minded, and it'll be good. It'll be all right. Thank you.